At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Washington Nationals. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. By Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By New York Lottery, hey, you never know. And by Lexus, the first ever Lexus NX Turbo Go Beyond utility. Citi Field for the final time in the regular season. Last chance for the Mets and their fans to do a little tuning up before the postseason arrives. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you for the final regular season game of the year as the Mets play the Nationals. Last night, the Mets lost 2 games to the Nats. The Dodgers won. The Dodgers clinched home field for the National League Division Series. That begins Friday in Los Angeles. Now, you had been pretty keen on the fact that the Mets should be fighting hard for home field now that it's gone. What are your thoughts?
Well, they've kind of blown it. I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm sure they are down there. I'm sure Terry Collins is. It's always best in playoffs. All the 3 that I've been in, actually the 2 that I went all the way, had home field advantage. It's very important to have that 5th game or 7th game at home in front of the home folks, I feel. But that being said, they've got their work cut out for them. Now they got to do it in L.A. And you know what? They would have had to beat the 2 big guys anyway, whether it's in L.A. or New York. It's just you want to end on a winning note. You don't want to end on a long losing streak.
And home field advantage got away because the Mets have lost 5 in a row, and they've scored just 1 run in their last 35 innings.
Well, I'm a little bit concerned about the offense, and let's face it, a lot was on the shoulders of Yoenis Cespedes when he joined this ball club at the trading deadline. He caught fire after around the first 10 games. And boy, did he catch fire, and it infected the whole team. It was so infectious what he did, which is usually what happens when one guy carries a ball club. Well, he hasn't hit so well. He's kind of cooled off the last 10 games, 12 games, and the club has cooled off with him. So I don't want to put all the onus on him, but he is such an important part of this team. If he can get that fire back in that bat, I think the whole team will follow behind.
Now, Jacob deGrom will make his final tune-up today. He's expected to throw 80 pitches or fewer as he gets ready for his Game 1 start in L.A. on Friday. Terry Collins announced the entirety of his rotation sort of today. It's what we expected. DeGrom Game 1, Syndergaard Game 2, Harvey Game 3. And then the question, is Steven Matz going to be ready for Game 4? Would Bartolo Colon pitch Game 4? Or would Jacob deGrom come back on 3 days rest to pitch Game 4? That today was introduced as a possibility.
Well, we saw it last year in the World Series with Bumgarner. All hands on deck in the playoffs. It's a different animal, and there's so many variables how this can play out. I think the most important thing is, I think with Neese struggling a little bit out of that bullpen, he's never been there, and his first 3 times out there has struggled. I think it puts more importance on Colon in that bullpen, and I think that he's the veteran. He will handle long relief. And you never know. The Mets may get out quick against Kershaw with deGrom. Who knows how it's going to play out? And if that does happen, then you can take him out and keep him stronger, and then bring in Colon to do the middle work.
Well, first today, the Mets will play their final regular season game. They'll have the A team in there behind Jacob deGrom for the final regular season game. It's the Mets and the Nationals, all the action on SNY. driving matters. By State Farm, today's State Farm agent of the game is Pat Cauley of Glendale, New York. Contact Pat at patcauley.com. And by DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the New York Mets. Make Citi Field your home for the holidays by hosting your company's holiday party right here at the ballpark with superb cuisine, 5-star service, and a state-of-the-art event space. For more information, call 718-507-3663 or go to metropolitanhospitality.com. Time now for the Coldwell Banker home field advantage. And look at the road home splits for Lucas Duda. He has been an animal at Citi Field. Not quite as forceful on the road.
Well, I got a bet check, Lucas.
It's the Mets and the Nationals wrapping up the regular season on a bright Sunday afternoon. Come on back. First pitch coming up. As he heads out to the mound for his 30th start of the year. What a spectacular sophomore season he's had after his Rookie of the Year in 2014. Here's the Nationals lineup for a Sunday afternoon. Bryce Harper, who's going for a batting title. He's got a minuscule edge over D. Gordon going into the final day. He's also tied for the National League lead in home runs as he tries to put the capper on what will probably be an MVP season. And he will be facing Mr. deGrom this afternoon.
Well, there's Jacob's Jeep numbers. Remember, they stepped him off a little bit on a start, and he pitched beautifully in Cincinnati. And this is his final tune-up, and the defense for your champion, National League East champion Mets is brought to you by Lexus. Yoenis Cespedes in center field. I mentioned how important he is at his ball club. That's an obvious thing. The starting infield, not going forward. And d'Arnaud behind the plate.
Major League Baseball for the first time is starting every game at the same time on the final day. And so shadows will be a factor today in a 3 o'clock start. deGrom's first pitch is a strike to Anthony Rendon, and we're underway. One game started early because they got rained out in Atlanta last night. The Braves are playing the Cardinals on the final day, and Shelby Miller might finally get a win. They're in the 8th inning. The Braves are up 6-0. Miller's 0-16 in his last 24 starts, and it looks like he might finally win on the final day of the season.
And ironically against his former team.
0-2 to Rendon, is 0 for 3 in the series, and he goes down on 3 pitches. Fast start for deGrom. One man down. Well, that is strikeout number 199 for Jacob deGrom this year.
Well, he's going to get one more, and congratulations when he gets the 200. Still a lot of strikeouts. I think there's not as much importance to 200 as there used to be. So many players strike out. Look at last night. How many strikeouts? He got a record.
Yesterday was a classic example of that, with the no-hitter by Max Scherzer, who struck out 17. The 18 strikeouts by Met pitching in that game last night. 35 strikeouts in a 9-inning game. A new major league record. And deGrom with the curveball gets ahead on Trey Turner 0-2. And in the doubleheader yesterday, there were a total of 59 strikeouts. Turner fouls the bat. 59 strikeouts in 18 innings. The previous record for strikeouts in 2 games in 1 day was 45. They obliterated it by 14.
Shame on you hitters. Tired of defending you.
0-2 coming. Off the plate to Turner, 1-2. When have you ever defended? So deGrom 1 strikeout away from 200. Last Met to do that was R.A. Dickey 3 years ago. And he misses with the curveball to Turner, 2-2.
Well, these shadows are going to creep up very quickly here with this 3 o'clock start. And it has no effect right now, but you can see they are right there on the edge.
Just waiting. In wait.
And you know, it's a beautiful, nice and sunny day, and maybe this overcast put the Mets in a funk. Maybe this bright sunshine will be a ray of sunshine for the Mets today.
Well, yesterday was a little miserable in the ballpark. It's a little bit brighter, a little bit warmer today. 2-2 to Turner, and he struck him out. There it is, strikeout number 200 for Jacob deGrom.
He should keep that ball. That should be a ball you put away. That's an important milestone right there in the season, I think.
And I think Travis d'Arnaud is calling for it right now.
Absolutely.
deGrom a new one, and they'll take the milestone ball out of play.
Congratulations. Really, really nice.
In the last 22 years, deGrom is only the 5th Met to strike out 200 in a season. Al Leiter, Pedro Martinez, Johan Santana, R.A. Dickey, and now Jacob deGrom. Here's Bryce Harper with 2 out and nobody on.
That is 200 strikeouts, Gary, when he completes this inning, 188 innings. So bravo.
9.5 strikeouts per 9 this year for deGrom. That's in the top 10 in the league. Bryce Harper coming into the final day has a batting average of 3.3075. Dee Gordon is 3.3060. That's how close the batting race is going into this last day. And Harper is tied for the National League lead in home runs with Nolan Arenado with 42. If you're a baseball fan who's been watching the National League for a long time, you know there hasn't been a triple crown in the National League since 1937 when Joe Medwick won it. But you might not know that no National League player has led the league in batting average and home runs in the same year since Johnny Mize in 1939. And Harper has a chance to do that today.
Johnny Mize, the big cat.
One and 2 to Harper. And the breaking ball bounced right back to deGrom. A dominant 1-2-3 opening inning for deGrom as he reaches 200 strikeouts for the season. Mets come to bat at the bottom of the first, no score. Francisco. This is probably the lineup the Mets will run out in Game 1 against the Dodgers if Zach Greinke pitches Game 1. If it's Clay Kershaw in Game 1, then Fordo would be on the bench, and either Kadire or Lagares would be in the lineup. And it's Tanner Roark on the mound for the Nats this afternoon.
And there's the Toyota numbers on Roark. Had a terrific year last year, starting. He would be 115 games, Gary.
15 and 10, 2.85 last year.
And when they required Scherzer was put into the bullpen, I'm sure he wasn't happy about that. Probably a big adjustment year for him.
They moved him back into the rotation in September when Doug Fister went to the bullpen, and Roark has not fared well since getting back into the rotation. Only his 12th start of the season today. Curtis Granderson 0 for his last 8. The Mets have been in a team-wide slump the last few days. Over the last 5 games, the Mets team batting average is 163, and they scored just 1 run in their last 35 innings. So they'd like to have a good offensive day today to give themselves something to build on coming up on Friday. The Dodgers won last night. They beat the Padres 2-1. Zach Greinke got his 19th wins, and they clinched home field for the division series. So be in LA Friday, Saturday, back here Monday, Tuesday, with Game 5 if necessary in LA a week from Thursday.
You know, it's funny when we're on the last day of the season here, and it's such a long season. When you talk to people that aren't real baseball fans or are just getting acclimated to baseball.
Granderson pulls one base hit. So the Mets get the leadoff man on. Granderson with his 148th hit of the year.
Nice start for Curtis, who's had himself a terrific year. But getting back to the point I was making is that, when you talk to him, the season's so long, it's every day. But you know what? Look at the crowd here today. It's like the fans and the players have made this long journey together. And now it's come to an end after 6 long months. And if you want to count spring training, paying attention, 7 months. And there's something to be said about that other sports just don't have that intimacy.
There's a soap opera quality to baseball that engages fans in a way that no other sport can.
And it's hard to convince people convince them or make a case for it, because it is a long season. And it's a slower paced game.
Well, and I think the point is that it is every day, and that the fans for 6 months have an indelible bond with the team that they root for. And closing days are big days, even when the team isn't having a great year the way the Mets are this year. David Wright down on 3 pitches for the first out.
And we'll do a quick Nationals defense. And the last time we bring you this by Coors Light. Worth, Taylor, and Bryce Harper. Probably going to be the MVP in right field. And there's your infield right there. Rounding out the Nationals is Severino behind the plate.
First major league start for Pedro Severino.
It was one of the finest last days of the season for me as a Met. And I'll continue after this pitch. Was not 86, was not 85, was not 87, 88, or 89. It was 84 when we came from nowhere and we lost to the Cubs the last week of the season. We kind of faded out 10 days, and we had a full house the last day, and the fans came out and we came out on the field, and it was an embrace. The fans and our team. It was wonderful because there have been so many years of the Mets stinking.
We went from 60-some wins the year before to 90 wins in 1984. That was the year that got it all started.
It was a remarkable turnaround. Almost. If they didn't get Rick Sutcliffe, we had a chance to win that division. That would have been remarkable.
Murphy chases a changeup from Roark, and it's 0-2. Well, in the National League batting race, D. Gordon doubled in his first at bat. So he is now at 3.316 and Harper at 3.301. So Harper's got some work to do today if he wants to win that batting title. 0-2 to Murphy, who had a 12-game hitting streak stopped last night. And he pops one up.
Big Sun
going out, having trouble with it. Side saddles it to grab it, 2 out.
Very wisely done by Turner. He turned his body to face left field so he didn't have to look directly in the sun.
Yeah, sure, because he has no sunglasses.
Right,
how do you go out with no sunglasses on a day like this?
Look at the shadows on the players out there, folks. You can pick any one. The shadow. Look at they're behind him. The sun is directly over the third base dugout. It's going to be a horrible sun field for the right fielder, the second baseman, and first baseman.
I don't understand, Keith. How does a professional baseball player go on a field on a day like this and not bring sunglasses?
Particularly when you're a September call-up.
Here's Cespedes, 1 for 4 in this series. Takes the slider out of the strike zone. It is a bright, sunny day. The breeze is blowing, so between the sun and the wind, it certainly makes the conditions treacherous on any ball hit in the air. Granderson at first and 2 out. Cespedes hits it down the line. Harper ranging over, battling the sun, and makes a nice catch across the line. He had to shade his eyes as he went, and Harper with a nice lunging grab to retire Cespedes and end the inning. That was not an easy play by any means. Harper handled it with aplomb. After 1, Mets and Nats, no score. Against Jacob deGrom. Worth 0 for 4 in this series, finishing off what has been a difficult year for him, hitting just .223 with 12 home runs, missing half the season because of injury, and a good curveball by deGrom, 1-1. deGrom struck out a pair in the first inning to get to 200 strikeouts for the year. His last start in Cincinnati, he was terrific. That was the day after the Mets clinched. He had a B lineup in there behind him, and he went 6 dominant innings, struck out 9 after getting 11 days off before that start, and it appeared to do him some good.
Well, this is the last tune-up for him before his probably the most important start of his young career coming up after this.
And he strikes out Worth. So deGrom has fanned 3 of the first 4 as the shadows are starting to take effect.
Well, not quite yet. The shadows aren't out far enough yet. they get out around halfway to home plate, and then it becomes very dicey for the hitter.
Here's Clint Robinson, who had a big day yesterday, 3 for 8, including a home run in the first game. Well, as we move through this final game of the season, I want to thank a whole bunch of people who help make these broadcasts possible and make our jobs a whole lot easier. Television is a team effort, and it takes dozens and dozens and dozens of people to make it even possible to put the games on the air, and we have the greatest people putting this together. The changeup by deGrom, 1-2. Our tech manager for most of our home games and many of our road games is Ed Ryan, and you cannot believe how hard Ed works on a daily basis, doing everything under the sun to make sure that these broadcasts operate smoothly.
Well, Ed's an easygoing, affable guy, and we love to see him on the road, and we can't thank him enough. These are the people that don't get the FaceTime that we get, Gare. You know, they're kind of behind doing the grunt work.
Robinson strikes out. So deGrom mowing him down. He struck out 4 of the first 5. So great thanks to Eddie, who's a constant presence for us here at Citi Field and for many of our road games as our tech manager. Also want to thank the folks in the Mets broadcast department, Lorraine Hamilton and Harris Schoenfeld, who take care of us in all sorts of ways. Just, you know, they make Keith feel really special.
I need that extra attention too. I'm high maintenance.
And of course the Mets media relations staff, Jay Horwitz, Ethan Wilson, Melissa Rodriguez, and Mike Passanisi. They've done a great job all year to provide us with the information we need to make our lives easier. So thanks to all of them. 0-2 to Ian Desmond with 2 out and nobody on. Brown bounces a changeup, 1-2. Well, the Shelby Miller winless streak is over. It's over. He beat his old team, the Cardinals, snapped the 24-start, 16-game losing streak. Atlanta beat St. Louis 6-0.
And a goose egg.
Just inside. I'm happy for Shelby because that would have been a big burden to carry into the offseason.
Remember what a hot start he got off to, and in the midst of that streak, they scored him no runs. It was ridiculous.
He had an all-star season. He just was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He pitched the ball 4 there. If he pitched that way with the Cardinals, he would have been maybe a 20-game winner.
He would have been 17-6 instead of 6-17,
yep.
Which is what he is. So the Cardinals, of course, are going to the postseason, and they'll play either the Pirates or the Cubs, who are battling for home field for the wild card game, which comes up on Wednesday. Pittsburgh needs a win or a Cubs loss to clinch home field, but if the Cubs win and the Pirates lose today, then the Cubs get home field for the game on Wednesday.
Well, remember, we dissected the Pirates season, and in their division they were miserable against Milwaukee and Cincinnati, and that has happened here down the end, the stretch run. They're up early 1-0 in the top of the second right now against Cincinnati.
Against the Reds, who snapped a 13-game losing streak by beating the Pirates last night. Michael Taylor fouls it off. Meanwhile, the Cubs put up a 3-spot in Milwaukee in the first inning to put some pressure on. The big battles are for the American League West and the second American League wild card, with Texas leading Houston by a game for the division and Houston leading the Angels by a game for the second wild card. So all that's up in the air. 0-2 to Michael Taylor, and he fouls one off. The Angels are up 2-1 in the first inning over Texas. Albert Pujols with his 40th home run today.
Wow.
What a bounce-back season for Pujols. So that puts some pressure on the Astros, who are down 1-0 in the second in Arizona on an A.J. Pollock home run.
Could have an extra game at the end of the year, huh?
Well, if the Angels win and the Astros lose, they would tie for that second wild card, and they play a one-game tiebreaker tomorrow afternoon in Houston, and then the winner would get the Yankees. Of course, if the Astros lose, then the Yankees get the home field. But if the Astros win and the Yankees lose today, then the Yankees would have to go to Houston for the wild card game on Tuesday, because Houston has the tiebreaker for home field over the Yankees.
And that wild card in the National League is really shaping up to be a barn burner, with the two finest pitchers in the league, or top 5 pitchers in the league, both of them.
Curveball fouled off by Taylor. Well, Jake Arrieta, I think at this point, is the favorite for the Cy Young.
21 wins? 22 wins. Excuse me, I forgot about the other one.
And a 1.77 ERA. Now, Greinke, with his performance last night, lowered his ERA to 1.66, which, by the way, is the lowest for a Dodger in 99 years. So it's going to be a tough call. Kershaw's in that mix as well. But Garrett Cole has had a wonderful season as well, with 19 wins for the Pirates, and that will be a splendid wild card matchup between Arrieta and Cole coming up on Wednesday, whether it's in Pittsburgh or in Chicago.
Look at Kershaw. He's throwing today. He's probably going to get 300 strikeouts. That's incredible.
Again, the 0-2, and Taylor takes outside. I don't know if he will get 300 strikeouts, because they're talking about limiting him to 50 pitches in his final tune-up.
I mean, don't think he'll be dialing it up.
He might get there. Desmond moves to second on a stolen base, his 13th of the year. Taylor with a long turn at bat here.
Well, that was a delayed steal, I believe. If it was, he was well executed, because it fooled me.
And you are not easily fooled.
You know who was good at a delayed steal? It was Mike Schmidt, believe it or not.
Really?
Yep.
Desmond dancing off second as well. And Taylor takes the fastball outside. It's 2-2.
Mike Schmidt fooled me 2 times, and from that point on, he'd always wait at the right time, and it was very rare. But I always had to keep an eye in the back of my head. I had to keep an eye on him when he was on first base, and I held him on.
North makes a run toward the bag. deGrom deals home and misses with the changeup, and now he's gone full to Taylor, 3-2. So Taylor proving very feisty.
A lot of wasted energy from Murph. There's 2 outs. Leave him alone. Field your position. Stay back. Cover ground.
Desmond probably playing his final game as a Washington National. He'll be a free agent. 3-2 to Taylor. And he walked him. That was quite a turn at bat for Taylor, who was down 0-2. And so deGrom issues back-to-back 2-out walks. The most popular way to follow the Mets in the postseason is with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcasts, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet now. Here's Pedro Severino, his first major league start. He's only had 1 big league at bat. 22-year-old Dominican who played in AA this year. This is the definition of a September call-up. Remember in 1991, on the last day of the season, David Cohn struck out 19 Phillies that day, and the Phillies had a kid named Doug Lindsay who was making his major league debut.
Oh no.
And he was
Butch Husky-esque.
Exactly. 3 strikeouts, sit down. And here's Severino on the last day of the season making his debut, and he takes a big cut. Severino's only had 1 at bat, and he doubled in that only at bat. So he's hitting 1,000 in the big leagues. Desmond at second, Taylor at first with 2 out. Popped up foul and out of play. Well, the 2 walks in this inning serving to jack up deGrom's pitch count. The thought for Terry Collins before the game today is that they would hold deGrom under 80 pitches. Remember that he'll be pitching Friday in Game 1 of the division series in Los Angeles on regular rest. And for most of this season, deGrom and most of the Mets starters have been pitching on extra rest. And now comes word that they're considering pitching him in Game 4 on short rest. At least considering it. And the breaking ball off the plate, 2-2.
Well, they're making him work here this inning.
Pitching from sunlight into shadow. And Severino lines it right to David Wright, who picks it out of the air to retire the side. 2 walks and 2 left. Jacob deGrom tuning up. No score in the second. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag SNY Dallas Strong Fan. You can see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. I guess that means next year.
That's a handful right there.
I think that was triplets.
Well, the shadows now are in play.
Lucas Duda leads off. He in the home second. Lucas came on a tear last week with 5 home runs in a 3-game span, including the grand slam in the first inning of the clincher last Saturday. Travis d'Arnaud on deck, then Michael Conforto. Duda sitting on 27 home runs for the year and has to skip out of the way. 2-1. Tanner Roark deals the 2-1. And Duda fouls back the fastball. It's been such an odd year for Duda. So hot, so cold. Back problems that short-circuited him for a while. And I think he really goes into the postseason as an X factor for this team. I mean, he's capable at any time of hitting the ball 400 feet and breaking a game, but you just don't know whether he's going to be the hot dude or the cold dude going up against strong pitching in the postseason.
What was that old game show? Will the real Lucas Duda please stand up?
And he got hit by that pitch. And he'll go down to first base. 14th time he's been hit this year, the most on the ball club. And the Mets have a leadoff base runner.
Remember that game show?
To tell the truth.
Yes. Thank you.
Kitty Carlisle, Tom
Right.
Posta,
Yes.
Orson Bean.
Right.
Yeah. Bill Cullen. Another way, you could probably name about 6 other game shows from that era, and the same people were on the show.
Yes. Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. Oh, he had all those game shows.
Here's d'Arnaud. It's been a struggle for Travis coming down the stretch of the season. Was such an important piece for the Mets after coming back from the disabled list in early August, and got really hot along with the rest of the team through their stretch where they opened up the big lead in the division. But these last couple of weeks have been a struggle. Final day crowd gathered at Citi Field. No fouls went off. Mets will be back here a week from tomorrow for Game 3. That'll be Matt Harvey's start against the Dodgers. And everybody wants to know about game times. No game times yet. It's up to Major League Baseball and the rights holders. TBS. We're doing the Mets series with the Dodgers.
TBS. It'll be TBA, to be announced.
Well, we encourage you to watch Ronnie.
Oh, well, of course.
And if you can't get to a TV, to listen to Howie and Josh and Wayne on the radio throughout the postseason.
I would just prefer to listen to Ronnie.
Well, he'll have partners, you know.
I just prefer to listen to Ron. I'll say nothing more.
I don't think there's a filter like that that enables you to do that. 2-2 to d'Arnaud with Conforto on deck. And Roark struggling with his curveball, and he runs the count full. Tanner Roark started out of the Texas organization. Nationals picked him up in a deadline deal 5 years ago that sent Christian Guzman to Texas. Roark had himself a big year last year and has shunted into a subsidiary role this year. And with Jordan Zimmerman leaving after this year as a free agent, every chance Roark will be back in the rotation next year. Double play ball to Desmond, and the turn by Turner for the 6-4-3 double play. 2 out and nobody on. So we mentioned a couple of times about Bryce Harper and Dee Gordon in the National League batting race. Gordon doubled his first time up, homered his second time up.
Well, it's putting the pressure on.
Yeah, so Gordon now at 3.327, and Harper at 3.301. It's going to be awfully tough for Harper now. There's Conforto with 2 out, and he takes a strike.
I recall that in 1980 I lost the batting title. I had a chance to win it the last day of the season. Bill Buckner wound up winning it, ironically. Billy hit 324 that year, and I hit 321. But going into there's the numbers right there for the leaders, and you can see how close that is. But with Gordon's quick start, that's putting a hurt on Harper. But anyway, the Cubs started a little bit ahead of us on that Sunday afternoon finish. I had to get 3 hits to win the title if Buckner went 1 for 4. Well, he went 1 for 4 and I went 1 for 4, so I finished second at 321.
Trey Turner on the back end, throws out Conforto, side retired. After 2, Mets and Nats, no score. Third inning at Citi Field. Tanner Roark leads off against Jacob deGrom as the sun disappears, making it a little easier for the hitters, but only for a moment. Roark 5 hits this year, hitting an even 200. Anthony Rendon on deck. So one of the things at stake today was the best record in the American League. Kansas City came in with a 1-game lead on Toronto, but Toronto has the tiebreaker, so if they won and Kansas City lost, Toronto would have home field throughout the American League Championship Series. Well, didn't quite work that way because Tampa Bay just scored 9 runs against the Blue Jays in the first inning.
Yeah, but that's an offense that can put 13 on the board.
Well, there's another piece to that too. Mark Burley started that game for Toronto. He needed 2 innings to get to 200 innings for what, the 14th straight year? And there are reports that he plans to retire after the game, but he lasted just a third of an inning and got hammered. So best laid plans.
John Steinbeck.
Roark strikes out on the high fastball. 5 strikeouts for deGrom through the first time through the batting order. One out and nobody on. Anthony Rendon coming up. Rendon struck out his first time up. Mark Burley has 14 straight years of 200 innings. He was going for 15 but fell short. It was a call strike to Rendon. I think this is great, by the way, this idea of everybody starting at the same time on the last day of the season.
I think it's a good idea.
I mean, there are a lot of things at stake today, both in terms of playoff spots, playoff positioning, and home field advantage.
So
it's all going on at once.
Everybody in sync with 3 o'clock
the
Eastern
only one
time.
that wasn't was the Cardinals and Braves because they're playing a doubleheader because they got rained out last night. But everybody else had pretty much the same juncture in their games.
Right, and even the ones like the game in San Francisco is a 12 noon start in Arizona, so it's very nice.
Yep, 3 o'clock Eastern for everybody. Rendon strikes out for the second time. That's 6 punch outs for deGrom, and we're picking up right where we left off last night.
Looks like a breaker.
Yesterday, Syndergaard struck out 10, and Harvey struck out 11. It was the first time the Mets had 2 starters strike out 10 or more in a doubleheader since 1974. 0-1 to Turner. That was John Matlack and Jerry Kuzman against the Phillies April 14th, 1974. Each had double-digit strikeouts. And now deGrom quickly ahead on Turner 0-2. deGrom struck out 2 in the first, 2 in the second, and he struck out 2 in the third.
There's the hat I like.
Turner just got a piece.
No white. The old I can live with the orange button on top. And there's no problema.
You're not quibbling over a button?
No.
Curveball popped up. Murphy hustling out. Side retired. 3 up and 3 down for deGrom in the third. Still no score at Citi Field. Just 37 pitches to get 6 strikeouts and get to 300 for the year, so that's done.
I told you he was going to have that thing in 5th gear.
Pirates need a win or a Cubs loss to clinch home field for their wild card game with Chicago. They lead, so do the Cubs. View from the Acela Club. No, that's not the Acela Club.
No,
it's the Promenade Club upstairs.
That's a little higher.
I got fooled by the glass. Ruben Tejada 1 for 7 in this series. Wilmer Flores has not appeared at all in this final series of the year. Wilmer had a little back problem when the Mets were in Philadelphia. He's also been battling some strep throat. He did come out on deck at one point to pinch hit, but never got in the game. But the Mets have pretty much made the determination anyway that Tejada is going to be their starting shortstop.
Right. And bat 8th.
Not 9th. Not going to hit the pitcher 8th in the postseason.
No, I don't think with Tejada.
It's
no.
funny how once the Mets acquired better offensive talent, that all of a sudden the pitcher didn't hit 8th anymore.
Correct. Well, they don't have the speed. You know, you don't have like a 2 speed guys that you could and then maybe do that. That's a double-edged sword hitting that pitcher 8th anyway.
I'm not a fan.
Neither am I.
By the way, Steven Matz, just to give you an idea what the game plan is for him. Matz is going to do some long tossing tomorrow. If that goes well, he'll throw a bullpen session on Tuesday, and if that goes well, they'll go down to Florida and pitch in an instructional league game on Thursday. And if all goes well for that, they'll put him on the roster, which doesn't have to be until Friday morning. Slap to second. Turner makes the play. And then Matz would be scheduled, if all goes well, to pitch game 4, which would be Tuesday. So he'd be on regular rest to do that. But that's a lot of ifs. Coming back from a back problem that's proved to be more pesky than the Mets originally thought it would be.
Usually when you have a team that wins a division with a little over a week left or a week left, you're lining your ducks up, in a row. And the Mets have not been able to do that. Mets, with his difficulties physically, has really thrown a wrench into Terry and the coaching staff's plans for the playoffs. And
yet, the Mets are in better shape with their pitching than most teams because they've got 6 good starters. And their top 3, deGrom, Syndergaard, and Harvey, have all looked very sharp coming down the stretch.
Well, you're going to get one of the 2 best out of the Dodgers in game 1 and 2. And I like our 2 guys, too. So they're just going to have to pitch their fannies off. This should be really a wonderful pitching matchups.
By the way, we showed you that Kershaw reached 300 strikeouts. First Dodger to do that since Sandy Koufax in 1966. DeGrom lifts on the left, and Worth. Sunlight, shadow, catch. 2 out.
Did Koufax do that in 64? Was it the year he?
Well, 66 was the last time. That was his
right.
That was his last season before he retired.
I think he had a shortened year in 64 where he was hurt, and he won 19 games, and I think his ERA was below 2 also. I could be wrong. I know from my Stratomatic days. It was fun looking at his card. It was hard to get hits.
It's fun to watch pitch, too. Curtis Granderson takes a strike. Curtis has the Mets' only hit. He's singled to lead off the first inning. Check swing on the curveball. Fouls it off, and it's 0-2. The Marlins just pulled Christian Yelich out of the game after getting a base hit his first time up. So he finishes at an even 300. Granderson deep to right center, back toward the wall, and off the fence on the fly. And Granderson pulls him at second base with a long double, his second hit of the day.
High fastball. George gets on top. Almost.
David Wright with 2 out and a runner at second. David struck out on 3 pitches his first time up. Slider on the corner for a strike. One to right with Murphy on deck. Pops out of the middle of the rookie Severino. One coming. Another breaking ball off the plate. Howard looking like he's pitching carefully to right, but you got Murphy standing on deck. David's got 150 at bats in now this season. Getting ready for his first postseason since 2006. Likely to be in that 2 spot in the batting order. And he dribbles one. Tough to throw him out. Severino fires. Oh. Got him. Nice arm by Pedro Severino, the rookie catcher, to end the inning. First big league start, and he shows off his arm. Nicely done.
Very nicely done.
22-year-old.
Beautifully done.
No score after 3. Prospects to the week of July that changed the season. Get an inside look at 2015 and the Mets' journey to the postseason on Mets Insider, presented by W.B. Mason, tonight after the postgame, only on SNY. Well, Bryce Harper at 330 after an 0 for 1. D. Gordon at 333 after a 2 for 2. So
he needs a knock.
He does. And DeGrom not looking like the guy to get it off. He's not allowed to hit yet. Walked 2 and struck out 6 through the first 3 innings. Harper had a comebacker his first time up, and Travis d'Arnaud has a glove issue, and he's going to have to trade in his catcher's mitt for a new one.
All those hard throwers.
I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often.
Finally wore the glove down.
Met pitchers have thrown more pitches of 95 miles an hour plus by far than any staff in baseball.
And not to worry, every major leaguer has a backup.
And Travis has it in hand now. Different color. Same quality. And every team also has a glove doctor. Often the trainer who knows how to fix those things. 1-1 to Harper. It's a high changeup that deGrom got away with. 1-2. Well, Bartolo Colon is up in the bullpen. He needs an inning today at least. Tyler Clippard needs to get in the game. J. Reese Familia needs an inning. All part of the tune-up process. Harper fouls one off. Colon's role in the postseason uncertain because of Matz's uncertainty, but Colon ready for anything, ready to start, ready to relieve if need be.
Bartolo's happy to be in postseason.
Line, but right up the middle is where Tejada's playing, and Harper's retired. 2 down. 1 out. Excuse me. He's out for the second time. And that will certainly enhance Dee Gordon's chances of being a batting champion.
Well, here's the shift up the middle, and this really infuriated Harper. He blurted out an expletive halfway down the bag because he knew he needed a hit.
Welcome to baseball in 2015. Infielders playing in sometimes unconventional spots. 1 out. Here's Jason Worth. He swings over the curveball. Worth struck out his first time up. So this could be the final inning for deGrom. The plan was to throw him fewer than 80. He's at 66 pitches right now. One and 2 to Worth. So Harper falls to 3.294. Gordon at 3.327. So, you know, if you round it up, it's 333 to 329. So it's getting less likely by the moment that Harper's going to win.
Well, he has to go 2 for 2 the rest of the way, and Gordon has to go 0 for 2, and they both have 2 for 4s, and then whatever the percentage works out, it's got to be on Harper's favor.
Right, Harper was leading coming into the day. Strikeout number 7 for deGrom as he befuddles Worth for the second out.
Well, interesting that deGrom now, this being his last inning, cannot get a win. Good changeup right there. There's the grip and the circle change. He'll be stuck on 14 wins. Colon's going to come in middle relief. There's the grip right there, the circle change. Colon could come in conceivably and get a W in middle relief and wind up with 15 wins, and for 2 years in a row lead this staff in wins. And 2 years in a row win 15.
You know what would have to happen? They would have to score.
Right. Oh, I understand. But it's a possibility.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. 1-1 to Robinson, who struck out his first time up. By the way, the Astros have tied up the Diamondbacks 1-1. The game is going to the 4th. And the Yankees trail their game to Baltimore 2-1. So the Yankees might be traveling. Duda with the flip to deGrom. 4 hitless innings for Jacob deGrom in his final tune-up for the postseason. We're celebrating 10 years of Mets baseball on SNY. After the break, we'll go back and relive another one of the thrilling moments from the past. Happened on September 26, 2015. That's a week ago Saturday. Brought to you by Pepsi. He struck him out. Tears of joy for the 2015 New York Mets, National League Eastern Division champions.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kitty, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the M-E-T-S Mets of New York town.
Said it from day one, I bleed orange and blue. I truly mean that.
I don't think the Mets or their fans will soon get tired of watching that scene. Of course, sometime in the next month, they're hoping for another celebration or three to supersede that one. But for now, that's a nice tableau for Met fans to live with.
Well, either way you slice it, it's nice to have another victorious flag up there in the Mets flagpole up above the American Stars and Stripes.
Daniel Murphy leads off the home fourth and takes a strike. Looks like Jacob deGrom is done after 4 hitless innings and 71 pitches. So he has gotten exactly what he needed, getting ready for his Game 1 start Friday night at Dodger Stadium. Well, I think the National League batting race is over, Keith. D. Gordon just
got another hit.
Got a base hit in the 5th. He's 3 for 3.
That's it.
334. So that's a big time clutch last day performance by D. Gordon.
But you know something? Harper still has one thing to play for, and that's 100 RBIs. He's got 99
and the home run title. He's tied with
absolutely. So he's got something. I mean, I think if he ties for the home runs, it's like, to me, it's like winning it.
Yeah, but you don't know what Arenado's going to do today.
Of course, but to me, that's a tough call. Would you want the 100 RBIs? But if you get a home run, you win the RBI. You get 100.
Both. Yeah.
So each goes hand in hand.
Don't have to choose.
Right.
So he might be swinging for the fences from here on out. Not that he doesn't generally swing hard anyway. Murphy popped up his first time up. And he goes down on the changeup. Second strikeout for Tanner Roark. One down in the 4th.
Changeup. Changeup throwing pitchers today. Trying to trick you.
Here is Cespedes. Keith, we've seen Cespedes now for a little over 2 months. We've seen him hot, and we've seen him not so hot. When you think about him going up against elite pitching coming up in the postseason, how do you assess his chances to have a big postseason?
Key to his success, like most hitters, is he needs to use right center field, Gary. And that's why we thought his first at bat he flew out to right field. He's trying to go that way. He needs to use right center field.
He's a guy who swings viciously at times. Does he need to temper his swing a little bit as we move forward?
I don't think you can. He's like a wild Mustang. You can't put a bridle on him or saddle him up. I'm sorry. You can't break him. So it's the way he hits. He takes a good swing. He knows what he's doing up there, Gary. We've seen him enough. He takes a lot of pitches. He knows what he's doing. His tendency is to pull too much. He needs to go up the middle.
Did not swing. 3-2. 3-2 from Roark. And Cespedes socks one deep right center. Back goes Harper over his head and off the fence. And Cespedes pulls in at second base with an opposite field double, just as Keith prescribed.
He is trying, is he not? 2 balls hit to the opposite field. He's lucky he hit that ball today. Last night with the wind blowing directly in, that would have probably knocked the ball down. But base of the wall, right field. This is a hanging breaking ball that he could have pulled. But when you're struggling, you want to stay to the opposite field. Look at that ball right down the pipe, belt high. If he's red hot, he'd lose it to left field. But you see, you got to work the opposite field when you're struggling. Then when you get your groove, then you start teeing off.
Well, Cespedes has now gone 56 at bats since his last home run, but that's as solidly as he's hit a ball in a while. Now Lucas Duda, who etched a painful mark in the Mets record book his last time up. He got hit by a pitch for the 14th time this season, which is a new Mets single season record. He had been tied with Ron Hunt and John Olerud, each of whom got hit 13 times in a season, and Lucas got punked in the leg for number 14. Of course, Hunt has the Major League single season record. He got hit 50 times as a Montreal Expo.
Well, Bob Gibson told the story, or it was Steve Carlton. I ran into Steve Carlton last year in Philadelphia. That Hunt would get up there and he said he'd have all that body armor on. He said they couldn't hurt him. He said he'd choke up 3-4 inches, and he said why he couldn't strike him out. He said he'd foul off all the pitches. So I just said, you know what, I got my good stuff. I'm not going to waste 8, 9, 10 pitches on him trying to get him out. I'm just going to hit him. So I hit him.
Well, that's Gibson.
No, it was Carlton.
Oh, Carlton. No.
I thought that was hilarious.
He could be ornery too. Cespedes at second and 1 out. Pickoff try, and Cespedes back easily. Well, Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs this year became only the second 30-30 player in Major League history. 30 home runs, 30 hit by pitch. Joining Don Baylor as the only players who've hit 30 home runs and been hit 30 times.
Well, Rizzo does stand on top of the plate, but that is a lot of times getting hit.
Well, especially in today's game. I mean, you know, you're talking about days with Carlton and Drysdale and even Carlton, people like that. Well, they throw at you. It doesn't happen anymore.
Stan Williams is the one that has the big reputation.
Ball in for a strike, 2-2.
Stan Williams was the pitching coach for the Cincinnati Reds when Pete Rose was over there, and he had the Nasty Boys, and that's why they started throwing at people. Dibble and who was the Charlton
Myers.
Charlton drilled me on purpose one time in Cincinnati. I got hot on that. I got really ticked.
Duda just got a piece. So you're saying the Nasty Boys wouldn't have been as nasty without Stan Williams' influence?
Well, I don't know. I can't say. But Stan Williams being there, I always said if we got in a fight with them on the field, which I didn't like the fight, but if we ever got in a brawl with Cincinnati on the field, I would go after Stan Williams.
Well, he was a little older.
Well, tough. He's a big guy, too.
Duda goes down to the fastball. Third strikeout for Roark, 2 out of the inning.
He was the guy that had the book, and the guys would come by and say, oh, you're a new guy here. I think I'm going to, what's your number? I think I'll get you today. Oh, really? Can you imagine?
Different world.
Yes, it was.
Now it's Darno, who grounded into a double play his first time up. And he hits the curveball foul. 1 to d'Arnaud.
He's ready.
Looks like Bartolo has fully warmed up.
You know, the way he tosses the ball and tosses his glove. It's like a little leaguer. What you do when you're a little leaguer and you had ants on your pants. As my mother used to say, he used to fidget.
At least he's not, you know, picking flowers out in right field.
I just hear my mom, Keith Hernandez, you've got ants in your pants. Would you calm down?
Nothing's changed. And that's on the corner. 2-2 to d'Arnaud. Tanner Roark making the final start of the year for the Nats. Last year on the final day of the season, the Nats got a no-hitter from Jordan Zimmerman.
No swing.
In fact, there's been a last day no-hitter in the majors each of the last 2 years. Zimmerman pitched one last year. Henderson Alvarez for the Marlins the year before. This year it was the second to last day of the season no-hitter, thrown last night by Max Scherzer.
Wasn't there a perfect game on the list?
Mike Witt.
Mike Witt in '84, the Angels. That's right. Yeah, great stuff.
Ball 4 to d'Arnaud. First walk given up by Roark.
I remember in '82 when we played our division and divisionals and we swept Atlanta. I was Milwaukee. No, I think Witt was pitching in '86 with the Angels. I'm not sure, but the Brewers came back and beat the Angels. That's right, they beat the Angels in '82, and Witt was their ace. And I was watching, never watched American League games. I watched a game of the week on Saturday just to check them out.
Well, there could be a last day of the season no-hitter today.
Oh, what's combined?
deGrom has provided his 4 innings. All that's required is somebody providing 5 more. Good curveball by Roark, and it's 0-2. Most strikeouts in a no-hitter. Scherzer struck out 17 last night, matching Nolan Ryan, who was also the last pitcher to throw 2 no-hitters in the same regular season before Scherzer.
And that was, look at Ryan with the 4 walks. That was a good day for him back then.
Yeah. There have been a lot of zeros lately for the Mets, who've scored 1 run in their last 38 innings. Make it 39 as Conforto's down looking. 4th strikeout for Roark, who fanned 3 in the inning. After 4, Mets and Nats, no score. multi-Emmy winning director Bill Webb.
He'd be the first one to tell you how many.
It's in the 40s now. Anyway, Webby has been away from the truck for a few weeks now. He's been dealing with a health issue, and we just want to send out our best wishes to Bill, who's always with us. Of course, those are his camera guys who are they are the lifeblood of the broadcast, and many of these camera guys have been working with Bill for 20, sometimes 30 years. And Bill, we just want to send out our best wishes, tell you that we're thinking about you, and the atmosphere around here is not the same without you. He is he's the lifeblood of the operation.
I cut my teeth up here in the booth with Bill, and Mike Santini was producing then, and Bill was directing, and Bill was gave me all the advice. And the best advice he ever gave me, he said, television, and you've heard this, Garrett, is more is what was it?
Less is more.
Less is more, excuse me. Because the people can see. You don't have to, like radio, to expound. Be precise, concise. And Bill has been on me, and really is the reason why I'm here in the booth, Bill, and I can't thank you enough.
What he was basically trying to tell you was that his pictures were more important than your words.
Well, you don't cross Bill Webb. That's like, yes, when I was that young and I was just starting, it was yes, Mr. Webb. If I understand Mr. Webb. So anyway, I knew Bill from when I played. Bill was doing Met games when I played, so I've known Bill for so long. And Bill, we think the world of him.
Well, we didn't want the season to end before we wished Bill the best, and we know everything's going to be fine and great, and we look forward to having Bill back in the truck next season. Bartolo Colon comes on in relief and promptly strikes out Ian Desmond to get his second relief outing of the season started. Made the one relief stint against the Red Sox earlier this year, and there's at least a strong possibility that he will be working out of the bullpen come postseason.
42 years of age, just under 200 innings of work. The only complete game on this very talented starting rotation this season.
Michael Taylor walked his first time up. Well, Jacob deGrom had the perfect postseason tune-up. 72 pitches and 4 hitless innings. He walked 2, struck out 7. deGrom finishes the season with a 2.54 ERA, which right now sits 4th in the National League. So after a Rookie of the Year campaign last year, an admirable follow-up season. No sophomore slump for Jacob deGrom, and he will be at the head of the rotation for the Mets when they start their postseason on Friday. 2-2 to Taylor, and he whacks one to the right side. Murphy able to grab it. 2 out. Well, at the top of the list in National League ERA, 2 extraordinary performances by Greinke and Arrieta, one of whom is probably going to win the Cy Young, and Kershaw will get votes as well. And deGrom trails only that trio in earned run average, which is quite a feat. Presented by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Enter promo code NYM for free entry. 2 out and nobody on. Now Pedro Severino, who lined out to third base in his first at bat. Severino was in Double-A this year. Hit .246 in 91 games at Harrisburg, making his first big league start today.
Well, you noticed on those top 5 pitchers, the ERA leaders, they're all on playoff teams, and that is of no surprise. They're the ones, teams that win, are got to have the horses out there.
Well, interestingly, the Dodgers have yet to announce their rotation for the series starting Friday, whether it'll be Greinke or Kershaw in game 1. Severino pulls one down to third, and right sidearms it in the dirt. Duda scoops it out, and that retires the side. 1-2-3 for Bartolo Colon. Our thoughts are with Bill Webb.
Just wear your Met colors, that would be orange and blue, on Friday, October 9th, to celebrate the Mets NL East Division Championship and the beginning of postseason play. Follow the Mets on Facebook and Twitter, as the most spirited fan prize will be awarded.
Because the fans are true to the orange and blue. It was very well read.
Well, I like to read aloud.
Just don't fidget. Ruben Tejada leads off the home fifth against Tanner Roark. Ruben grounded out his first time up, and Roark starts him off with a slider for a strike. Johnny Manel is out on deck. He'll bat for Bartolo Colon. And the Mets will exercise their bullpen further. Mets have gotten 5 hitless innings so far, 4 from deGrom and 1 from Colon. Now they just need to figure out a way to score. 1 run now in their last 39 innings. The Mets have lost 5 in a row coming into the final day of the season. There's only been one instance in Major League history where a team has taken a 6-game losing streak into the postseason. And we referenced that yesterday as it's rolled to the right side. And Turner makes the play. We referenced it yesterday. The 2000 Yankees stumbled down the stretch. I think they lost 16 of 19, but they lost their last 6 going into the postseason, and all they did was win the World Series that year, as Met fans painfully are aware. So it's not a kiss of death necessarily to take a losing streak into the postseason, but I think it's got to be at least of some concern how difficult it's been these last several days for the Mets offense. Johnny Manel pinch hits. I guess the question is, Keith, from your perspective, how much of a concern should it be?
Well, you just don't know in this game how it's going to turn out. They can go out against arguably the best pitcher in the major leagues and knock the tar out of them. You just don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But certainly it's an unsteady, unsettling feeling going forward, Garrett.
Well, there's another factor here, too, isn't there? I mean, it used to be that the season would end and you'd get a day or 2 off and you would immediately jump into postseason play. That sails to the backstop. Now the Mets will sit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and play on Friday. And I don't know whether that has the possibility of being a positive thing for a team that struggles coming down the stretch, and to kind of shake that out of the way and everybody kind of starts out fresh, as opposed to there being any carryover. Is that a possibility?
I wouldn't like the layoff, Garrett, to be honest with you. A good breaking ball there against Manel. I would not like that long of a layoff going into the most important part of the season.
Yeah, and that's why I've seen several pundits say over the last few weeks that the wild card game should be expanded to a best of 3. Well, you can't do that.
No.
Because if you expand the wild card to a best of 3, then everybody else is sitting around for a week.
Well, the wild card is going on Wednesday, right? The National League?
American League Tuesday, National League Wednesday.
They should both go off on Tuesday. They should get them done as quick as possible, so you have a TV doubleheader. And just get it done, so then instead of starting Friday, you start Thursday.
Right. And the American League will start Thursday after the American League wild card game is Tuesday. They have to set aside Monday for potential tiebreakers. So I think you're right. I think that makes a lot of sense. But you know, they like to stagger them because of television.
I understand. And there's football to contend with too. There's all kinds of things that are considered.
But from a competitive baseball standpoint, you never want teams to be off for 4 days. I think that's not good for the teams that are competing in the postseason. And you see the Pirates leading Cincinnati. If they win, they get home field in that wild card game. Taylor slicing across and takes a base hit away from Granderson, and that retires the side. Well, we played 5 on the final day of the season. Mets and Nats each still seeking a run. pitchers have thrown 5 hitless innings, 4 for deGrom, 1 for Cologne. Now Logan Verrett will try and pick up the reins.
Well, Verrett has had a little, he kind of staggered to the end there, but he'll always be remembered for that critical start that he made in Denver after he won that ball game beautifully when everybody was giving up runs in that series, and pitched a brilliant game.
Last pitched Wednesday as a starter in Philadelphia, went 4 1/3, allowed 3 runs, 4 hits. Verrett does not figure to be on the postseason roster, but you never know. And you know, the Mets are carrying 38 players, which means there are 13 guys who are not going to be on that first round roster, and at least a few of them are going to go down to Florida and keep themselves in shape. For instance, Anthony Recker won't be on that division series roster, but you know, he'll be going and keeping himself in shape just in case something happens to one of the Mets catchers, and there'll be a bunch of guys who will be doing that. I'm sure Verrett will be in that group. And Roark struck out his first time up. Rendon and Turner to follow for the Nationals in the 6th. And Roark flies one out to Granderson. 1 out. Well, we've talked a lot about the upcoming series with the Dodgers from a Mets perspective, but maybe take a moment to look at it from a Dodger perspective. The Dodgers have the highest payroll in baseball. They're in the postseason for the 3rd straight year. They have failed to get to the World Series the last 2 years, and in large part failed because their ace pitcher, Clayton Kershaw, has not been able to get through the St. Louis Cardinals, and Kershaw's overall postseason numbers have not been pretty.
Well, Cardinals have definitely put a hurt on him. 2013 and 14, 0-2 in both those series. And you can remember the long ball that got him late in that final game that he pitched. The left-hander hit the home run off the curveball, hanging curveball. So
I just wonder, for a great player, in this case great pitcher like Kershaw, who has had postseason failures, how is the mindset for a great player like that going into this postseason, do you think?
I've seen enough of him. Sure, it's going to be weighing on his mind, and there's always a lot of the negativities. Called third strike right there. Boy, Rendon's had a tough series. I saw him in San Francisco when the Giants won the first game of that series before they clinched this year, and he pitched the next day and pitched the clincher. And I saw a picture of him in the dugout looking, and he was really angry. And then he went out there and pitched that game. That shows me competitive spirit. So to me, Gary, sure, I don't think he's going to channel that negatively. I really don't. He's going to go out there and be the competitor that he is and bring an A game. Did this postseason, at least this series.
What about from a standpoint of facing a Kershaw, and those are his postseason numbers? I mean, we know what he brings to the table. He's got an unbelievable curveball. He's got fastball and slider to go with it. Do you try and lay off his curveball? Do you try and wait for him to hang a curveball? How do you approach a guy like that?
Well, I also, what comes into mind, got the great fastball, the great curve, the great slider, and his motion, Gary, is very herky-jerky and very hard to pick up. I've never faced him. To me, I know he'd be a tough mark. He'd be a guy that you can't cover the whole plate against. You'd have to pick the outer or inner half of the plate and take your chances.
Red contributes a 1-2-3 inning. That's 6 hitless for the Mets today. It's starting to get interesting. David Wright leads off the home 6th inning in a scoreless game against Tanner Roark, who has held the Mets to 3 hits, while Met pitchers have held the Nats hitless. Shades of Gaylord Perry and Ray Washburn.
Back to back in Candlestick. At Candlestick.
Cardinals against the Giants. No hitter for one team one day, no hitter for the other team the next day. Well, Mets got no hit last night, and they've got a combined no hitter working today. It's not the same juice in a combined no hit effort as there would be in a one pitcher game.
Of course.
But for a franchise that's only had one no hitter in 54 years, still pretty interesting. 6 strikeouts now for Roark, 1 down to the 6th. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, obviously we've been talking a lot about the Dodgers series coming up and the different things that could happen. One thing, as you've discussed already today, the potential of bringing Jacob deGrom back on short rest in Game 4. Now, deGrom's never done that before in the major leagues. He doesn't remember ever doing it at the minor league level, but he's very confident that he can be successful on short rest, namely because he says when he throws his bullpens, which is on a little bit shorter rest, it's after 2 days of rest as opposed to this would be 3, he feels like he can pitch that day if called upon. So he said just 1 day shorter shouldn't be a problem.
Well, of course, it's all speculative until you do it. And, you know, teams have done that before, and some pitchers are successful. You go back to Josh Beckett in the 2003 World Series. And
so I think obviously they're going to only option or that they're going to do that if they're down 2-1 going into Game 4.
Well, it also obviously depends on Matz's health. It depends on how deGrom looks in Game 1.
Well, I mean, if
there's so many things that are at play here.
If Matz is healthy, then it's a non-issue.
1-2 to Murphy. Breaking ball down. I think all things being equal, the Mets would prefer not to pitch deGrom on short rest, because then even if you get to the next round, then you know you've affected what might happen going forward.
Well, you know what? They got all winter to rest, and you're out. If you're outmanned, it's all hands on deck.
Well, but I think you have other options. If Matz isn't available, you still have Cologne, you still have Nice, who are accomplished starting pitchers. Rounded down to first and handled by Robinson for the second out. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Now Cespedes, who doubled off the fence in right center his last time up. Let's check out the American League races. Houston just tied up Arizona for the second time today. They are 2-2 playing in the 5th. Houston a game behind Texas for the AL West, and a game in front of the Angels for the second wild card. And Texas just went in front of the Angels 3-2 on an Adrian Beltre home run. That game's now in the bottom of the 6th.
Look at the Yankees getting hammered.
The Yankees are down 5-1 going to the 5th in Baltimore. So if Houston wins and the Yankees lose, Yankees would play Houston in Houston. That's where the way it looked coming into the day. The Yankees had a much bigger lead for that home field, but that has been whittled away.
It's amazing how people are faltering down in the final days.
Cespedes pops one up. And Turner right there waiting for it. So another 1-2-3 inning for Tanner Roark. He's now retired 7 in a row. He's got 6 scoreless innings going, and on to the 7th we go with no score. Yankees game in London. Jets look good today.
They did.
Insider info and opinion, plus all the locker room reaction and Todd Bowles' comments on the Jets blog, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Tanner Roark turning in 6 scoreless innings in his final start of the year and getting congratulations. Last day of the season.
You know, the team's playing it out. It's a long haul for them too, and it hasn't been what has to be a very disappointing season for Washington.
This isn't.
No, you're right. We'll take a quick look at Nice here in his 4th relief appearance, but very important at bat here for Harper, who looks like he's lost the batting title here in the last day of the season.
Dee Gordon is 3 for 4, hitting .333, 4 points ahead of Harper, who's 0 for 2 today. But this is also a very important outing for John Nice. Nice is going to be counted on in the bullpen come postseason. He's made 3 outings, and he really hasn't been successful in any of the 3. And I asked Terry Collins today, I said, you know, obviously there were issues with Nice. He's never really pitched in relief until this week, and issues about getting warmed up, about being able to bounce back the next day, and all those questions have been answered. But the question is, how important is performance? And I think today is very important from Nice's standpoint to be able to get some people out. And he gets the ground ball from Harper. Duda handles it, and he's got the first out.
I would almost be inclined, Gary, and I just thought of this, is have Nice pitch from the stretch all the time, because he may come in relief and have men on base and with a big out and not have the luxury of a windup.
Well, there you see the numbers, and there was a point in his career earlier when Nice was more reliant on his curveball, when he was much more effective against left-hand hitters. But lately, and especially in this last week coming in relief, he has been less effective, although he just got maybe the best left-hand hitter in the game out in Harper.
Well,
1-1 to Worth. Worth has been up twice, struck out both times. deGrom went the first 4. Cologne pitched the 5th. Verrett the 6th. And now Nice the 7th. And the Nats still don't have a hit. And Nice throwing a little harder today than we normally see him. And that's one of the luxuries of pitching out of the pen. And let it all hang out.
Ray Stevens.
The streak?
No, it was the Tres Hombres. Remember that song?
No,
Let It All Hang Out. I heard it on the radio on the way home last night. 1965.
He cuts that fastball in for a strike, and it's just 3-2. deGrom walked 2 back in the 2nd inning. Those have been the only base runners for the Nats today. 3-2 to Worth. And he grounds one. Great stop by Duda. Nice gets over to cover. 2 men down. Well, that has been the hardest hit ball by a National today.
That gets a smile out of him. It's good to see John smiling.
So that's 6 2/3 now for the Mets staff without a hit allowed. And Nice was very quick off the mound today.
Yep. Bust it right over. Very nice.
Seven more outs to go. There's Clint Robinson. Struck out and grounded out 0 for 2.
Robinson with a big home run in the series here. The first big bomb up in that Pepsi porch. One of the longest ones I've seen hit in the upper tank in that porch. Well, there's a shot from up high behind Duda. Nice layout there. He used to be able to do that.
easier for you. You have the glove on the other hand.
Right. If I did it now, though, I'm afraid I'd hurt something.
John misses with a curveball and falls behind 3-1. 15 straight Nats have been retired since a walk to Taylor in the second. 3-1 to Robinson. And he laces one toward the middle, and it banks off Tejada, and Robinson is aboard.
Now, where'd that hit Tejada? On the knee?
And that'll be the first Nationals base hit of the afternoon. It got underneath and then off the knee of Tejada for a hit.
The ball was ripped.
And now Terry Collins, with the no-hitter gone, is going to start replacing some of his regulars. He's also going to take Neese out of the game.
Lagares to center.
Let's hope that did in a tender spot for Tejada, right off the inside of the left knee. That was a shot.
Cespedes.
So Cespedes will come out of the game, and he'll get a nice hand as he does. Well-deserved tribute to Yoenis Cespedes, who helped turn the Mets season around when he arrived on the 1st of August. And now he comes out of the final regular season game. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Addison Reed comes in to try and get the final out in the top of the 7th, facing Ian Desmond with a runner at first. And he throws one up and in for strike 1. Juan Lagares now in center field. He'll bat 9th. Reed will hit 4th as Cespedes came out.
Well, Reed is going to be the 7th or 8th inning guy. Could be alternating. Who knows?
Had a difficult day yesterday. A double play not turned behind him, and Bryce Harper followed with a 2-run homer up in the Pepsi porch that decided game 1 of yesterday's doubleheader.
Boy, Desmond.
And Reed comes in and blows away Desmond on 3 pitches.
Desmond looks terrible.
Side retired. 7th inning stretch time on the regular season's final day. Still no score. Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook after every Mets win. Check out our post to find out how you can win a StubHub gift card. Follow SNY today. And don't miss out on the SNY Social Sweepstakes presented by StubHub. Rise a trivia question for today. Well, you know that Max Scherzer threw a no-hitter for the Nationals, who were the descendants of the Expos, who was the only pitcher to throw 2 no-hitters for the Expos. As for today's starters, People's United Bank brings you them, and neither won a lot of runs. Jacob deGrom in his tune-up, 72 pitches in 4 innings. And Tanner Roark was terrific for his 6 innings. Both are now out of the game. Oh, Mr. Bear is here. It's Mr. Bear, Keith. Wearing a Mets suit. Fans up and stretching for the final time of the regular season. Well, Sammy Solis will pitch the 7th inning for Washington.
Well, you see his numbers, 18th appearance. Another left-hander has trouble getting lefties out.
Lucas Duda will lead off for the Mets in the 7th in a scoreless game. Duda was hit by a pitch and he struck out today, 0 for 1. Mets have had just 3 hits. The Nats have had only 1. Now in the bottom of the 7th. And Duda flies the first one into left center. Worth and Taylor, and Worth takes it for the first out. Well, it's our final broadcast of the season, and we've been thanking some of the special people who have helped us during the year. And nobody is closer to us in the booth than our stage managers. And we have 3 fabulous folks who serve us as stage managers. And what that means basically is, I don't know, how would you describe the stage manager's job? It's making sure we have all the copy to read, but it's much more than that. It's almost like a personal service contract.
Yes, and with you, they better have the right sheet that you have to read in front of you on time. You get very hot.
Darnell was the comebacker for the 2nd out. Well, Russ Welkin, Kerry Larberfeld, and Dominic Tringali, they split the job because no one person could handle all the demands that we put on our stage manager over the course of the season.
Oh, I never get any complaints. You're a little difficult. That's why I think we have 3.
I don't know how many ice creams and candies and omelets are brought into the booth for you over the course of the season.
Gary's iced coffee.
There's the iced coffee.
And Ronnie's also an iced coffee guy. I am a guy that they have to go get me gummy bears and chocolates. And when on Sunday day games, I call Kerry or Dominic or Russ and say, okay, I'm just pulling in the parking lot. Get that Western omelet going.
Well, and of course, Russ on Sundays always stops by Wall's Bakery and brings in our bakery treats. Conforto finds the hole, and he's got himself a 2-out hit. And that's 4th hit of the day.
Nice to see Conforto using left field. He's been struggling a bit.
Anyway, Russ and Kerry and Dom, thank you. You guys are the best.
Absolutely.
And of course, on our other side, we have our statisticians, Dave Freed and the mystery statistician, who prefers to remain anonymous.
Oh, that's right. He's got family to deal with.
Dave's off in London today seeing the Queen and the Jets. Here's Tejada, who's 0 for 2. Rubens grounded out twice. It's a small booth, and it's very important that we all get along here. So it's a good thing that the folks who are with us in the booth, the stage manager and the statisticians, the audio guys.
We have the smallest booth, home booth in the National League, folks. Except for Wrigley Field, and they're forgiven. Well, that's not a home booth, but they got a big home booth at Wrigley.
Yeah, their home booth is definitely larger than that.
So
when there's 3 in the booth here, it gets a little tight. But we okay. We hate it. We love it.
0-2 to Tejada, who takes it up and away. It's snug, but it's well located. We're dead center behind home plate.
Yes.
A chance to.
It is a nice view here.
Look at the great panorama that is Citi Field.
We have a nice elevation too. I never thought that I would, I'm in the sunset of my life here.
I'm sorry.
I've never seen so many baseball games. I never dreamed I'd see so many.
Sunset of your life.
Well, I'm on the back end.
Come on.
I'm on the back end.
It's barely August. Here's the 2-2, and that's fouled off.
I never.
What are you, 61?
I'll be 62 on October 20th. Along. Share a birthday with Mickey Mantle and Juan Marichal.
You got 40 more years, my friend.
Well, how many?
40?
Oh, you're dreaming. No.
You got to work another 20 with me.
Well, hopefully
we've gotten through 10.
Let's just go a decade at a time.
Okay.
Maybe 10 more.
That's fair enough.
We have a sound mind and health. That's all that matters.
Sound mind might be a problem for many of us, especially 10 years from now. We'll be together next week.
Yes, post game.
Doing the pre and post game shows from on the plaza here.
You're doing the home games, the first 2 rounds. We'll have a presence outside. And I'll be doing all studio work as well on the road games.
Now, you got to watch out for those studio guys, Keith. They're not as broad-minded as we are.
Well, yeah,
you have to fit in. You don't want to be the loose cannon.
Oh, I'm just offering my opinions, analyzing what's going on. It's very easy. And the hotel I'm staying at is 2 blocks away from the studio. I can walk. It's just 2 miles northwest of the studio.
Will you be walking?
I'll be walking.
It's good. You need your exercise. Long turn at bat here for Tejada. He's about to see his 10th pitch from Sammy Solis. Giving us way too much time to talk about these subjects. And Tejada fouls off another one.
Need some action.
Arizona's gone back in front of Houston 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th. Meanwhile, Texas leads the Angels 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th. So some very tight games and a couple of very tight races in the American League. Yankees getting blown out of Baltimore 7-1 in the 5th. Pitch number 11 coming to Tejada, and he strikes out to end the inning. So Solis takes care of Tejada after a long battle, and that sends us to the 8th. Still no score. artistic shot, complete with rainbows. SNY Super Slow Motion brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com.
Mr. Clippard comes in to pitch an inning, a little final tune-up, and he has struggled down the stretch here.
Michael Taylor leads off the 8th inning and swings at the high fastball. Well, you can see from the radar gun the velocity has been missing from Clippard's fastball. And as a hitter, Keith, how does that impact his changeup when his fastball velocity is somewhat diminished?
Well, when you're basically a two-pitch pitcher, which is not, I mean, Clippard he's got a breaking ball, but it's his third pitch. And it's something that he, even when he was young and on top, throwing hard, it was a pitch he threw in there every once in a while, just a different look, and it was effective. And it's a good curveball, but now with the lost velocity, it's hard for him to be the two-pitch pitcher. When you lose a little bit of that velocity as a hitter, that gives you more time to wait. And what do you have to do on a changeup? You have to wait. So it gives you that little more time to hang in there, and it makes it more difficult for Tyler to get away with that changeup without putting it in a good spot. So, you know, he's talking about his struggles. 10 earned runs, 4 home runs in his last 11 2/3. So that's struggling. So the Mets need him to get back in the groove. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, the veteran that he is, that would.
Taylor out to right center. Lagares on the warning track, and he runs it down. Haven't seen nearly as much of that this year as we did last from the Gold Glover, but he makes it look so easy.
Right at the track on 3 feet. Very nice. But getting back to Clippard, I wouldn't be surprised if it come to playoff times. It's a whole different cat, and he'll dial it up.
Well, let me ask you this, because there's been some discussion in this regard. Do you think it's a possibility that Reed becomes the 8th inning guy and that Clippard moves into the 7th inning role, or a guy who can come in and get a left-hander out 6th, 7th inning?
It would be Clippard's. Whoa, that got away from him. That would be Clippard's job to lose, in my opinion. He'd have to have a couple bad outings, and the fact that he overthrew, he's never been a wild guy, almost makes you think that he's aware of his loss in velocity and maybe overthrew that fastball. You know, it's just like hitting, Gary, and I think the same thing in pitching. When you really try to throw a real hard one and you rush your motion, you're not going to get it done. When you're a hitter trying to hit a home run and you try to swing real hard, or you get out too quick, it defeats the purpose. It's really that works both ways.
I mean, there was a time when we saw Clippard regularly with the Nationals where we'd see 93, 94 from him. Now it's more 91, sometimes 92. Pedro Severino 0 for 2 in his first big league start. And he runs the count full. Matt Dendecker is out on deck to pinch hit for the Nats. Severino nubs that changeup foul. There's the good changeup.
2 in a row.
Clippard strikes out Severino, 2 out.
Well, circle change. To me, we always look, when we point out the grip and the circle change, you can obviously see why it's called a circle change with the index finger. Here's the location, good sink. A lot of guys, to me, what's interesting is where they hold it in regard to the baseball. Some guys hold it across the seam. So, you know, some guys hold it off the seam. That's what I find more interesting. Because the grip that's the pitch. You don't throw it any differently.
It's almost as though some guys grip it like a two-seam fastball, but deeper in their hand. So his is more like a four-seam.
And you see his index finger right into, well, you can't see it there, but his middle finger was on that one seam, and his index finger's on the other one next to it. So it's all very interesting. And that's how they get the movement, I'm sure.
1-2 to Dendecker, who started both games of the doubleheader yesterday and went 1 for 7. Struck him out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Tyler Clippard. So there's a little improvement for Tyler and his tune-up. No score going to the bottom of the 8th. Showdown on Mets Playoff Live. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6 only on SNY. It's the postseason.
Yes, it is.
Blake Trinan will pitch the bottom of the 8th for the Nats.
Good young pitcher here. Good breaking ball.
Juan Lagares will come up for the first time. Came in on a double switch. Juan started the day game yesterday, went 1 for 4 and drove in the only run the Mets have scored in their last 42 innings. Let's go back to Tyler Clippard and that grip.
Well, we all know that the circle changed. Look at his middle finger and how it's on the seam, where the seam kind of rounds out on the thin part of the ball. You see the back seam on the other side. But what you don't see in that picture is that his index finger is on the opposite seam close. So he's got his fingernail dug in. You can see his fingernail kind of almost dug into the seam, and that's how I think he gets his gets the ball to move. I mean, I'm not an expert on pitches.
Broken bat grounder back to Trinan, 1 out. You know, it's the last day of the season, and some strange things can happen on the last day. You know what's happening in Philadelphia right now?
Tell me.
Marlins are playing the Phillies. They're in the bottom of the 8th. Phillies are batting, and on the mound for the Miami Marlins, future Hall of Famer Ichiro Suzuki.
Wow.
How about that? Number 51 pitching for the Miami Marlins.
That number 51 in your heart too. I loved his tennis shoes. I saw him in the other day.
We know he's got a great arm. I mean, had one of the great outfield arms ever back in his heyday as a Gold Glover in Seattle. Curtis Granderson's hit the ball hard 3 times, a single, a double, and he lined out to center field his last time up. But the Mets offense has had very little going on. 1 run in the last 42 innings, none in the last 18. For the team that is the highest scoring team in the National League since the 1st of August.
And you remember they went on an offensive rampage in Cincinnati. I think a lot had to do with that staff. But they went into Philadelphia with a team ERA that Philly had of over 5 and struggled.
Granderson deep to center field. Taylor back to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here! Number 26 for Curtis Granderson, and he gives the Mets the lead in the bottom of the 8th. Curtis Granderson has hit more home runs out of the leadoff spot than any Met in history, and he adds another on the closing day.
Right down the pipe, dead central. This is a Vinny Bommarito. That is a bomb.
So the Mets break the ice.
Well, right in his wheelhouse. What a year for Granderson. 26. His 98th run scored.
And 70 RBIs out of the leadoff spot. That's
fabulous.
That's tremendous. The Mets home run means $2,000 for an NYC community partner, courtesy of Citi. Single, double, and home run today for Curtis.
Oh, that hurt. That hurt. Inner thigh.
Severino got nailed.
I heard it. And that's going to have a big black and blue tomorrow morning when he wakes up. Smiling it off. Right there, inner thigh, and it crossed over.
Yeah.
It's the old Croc, a crossover pitcher. Get the lefty and righty out.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid. There's ball 4 to right. So Trinan, after giving up the home run to Granderson, walks right. And now Daniel Murphy will come to bat.
Well, it's going to be obviously Familia, and that's going to be the pitching coach Steve McCatty coming out, but Familia is going to come in.
He'll be bidding to tie Armando Benitez's club record for saves in the season.
43. What a year from Curtis Granderson. And let's just remember one thing. He started out slow the first almost 2 months. He did not get comfortable until close to June.
And in a year where just about everybody else had periods on the sidelines, whether it was Wright or Murphy or Duda, he's been in the lineup virtually every day the entire year.
You never hear a word from him. Never hear, I got an ache here, and I'm a little sore there. He's out there every day.
And a guy who's brought here to be a middle of the order hitter, making a readjustment to being a leadoff hitter, and you can't ask for more than what he's done. On base percentage well over 360, 26 home runs out of the leadoff spot. As you mentioned, 98 runs scored. Tremendous year. Here's Murphy, who's 0 for 3 today. Kelly Johnson on deck to pinch hit, and that one trickles not far enough away for Wright to make a move. In the American League postseason races on this final day, Texas now leads the Angels 6-2 in the 8th. That opens it up for the Houston Astros. If they win, they may well be in, but they're down 3-2 to Arizona going to the 7th. So that intrigue builds.
Well, It's never over till it's over, as the late Yogi Berra said, and those Angels have had some remarkable come from behind wins in September,
including yesterday. Came from 4 down in the 9th to win. 2-0 to Murphy, and that's on the corner. 2-1. Double play ball. The turn by Turner. 6-4-3 double play ends the inning, but the Mets grab the lead in the bottom of the 8th. Curtis Granderson clears the center field fence. His 26th of the year. And he'll hand it off to Jerry's Familia. Mets with a 1-0 lead going to the 9th. Pitcher to throw 2 no-hitters for the Expos. Well, Met fans should know this because he threw one of them against the Mets. That was Bill Stoneman.
Bill Stoneman was mean too, evidently. He'd knock you down or hit you in a heartbeat.
Jerry's Familia has 42 saves. Armando Benitez has the club record with 43, and Familia can tie him today.
Well, there are his numbers. Familia has been phenomenal. Equally nasty to left and right hand hitters.
Anthony Rendon leads off in the top of the 9th in a 1-0 game, and he takes inside. 6 Met pitchers have combined to allow just 1 hit today, and there you see the Mets single season save list. Benitez set the club record in 01, and Familia in his first year as a closer trying to equal that today. Rendon trying to avoid the dreaded golden sombrero on the final day of the season, and he takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Jacob deGrom threw 4 hitless innings. Bartolo Colon threw 1. Logan Verrett threw 1. John Neese gave up the only Nationals hit, a 2-out single for Clint Robinson that went off the knee of Ruben Tejada in the 7th, and that's been the only hit for the Nats today. Madison Reed got the final out in the 7th. Tyler Clippard worked a 1-2-3-8, and so the Mets, who have had stellar pitching all year, trying to finish the season with a gem of a performance by the entire staff. 2-1 to Rendon. And it's inside, and Familia falls behind 3-1. Trey Turner on deck. Bryce Harper behind him. Hit hard, but right at Murphy. 1 out. Coming up tonight, 10:30, Geico Sports Night. All the baseball, all the football. Geico Sports Night, everything New York sports tonight at 10:30, only on SNY. There's Trey Turner, who's 0 for 3. Net pitchers have struck out 13 today. 42 in the last 3 games. Rangers are up 9-2 on the Angels now. So it looks like the Angels are going to be out, barring a huge rally. And Houston will be in. 1-0. Fastball strike. 1-1. Pittsburgh's up 4-0 on Cincinnati in the 7th. If that holds, the Pirates will host the Cubs on Wednesday in the wild card game. Just inside, and he held the swing in time. 2-1 to Turner. Lively final day crowd of over 41,000. And they'll be back a week from tomorrow, these fans will, for Game 3 of the National League Division Series. 2-1 coming. And there's a strike. 2-2. Mets bullpen, the Dodgers bullpen, both have questions leading up to the 9th, but with Familia and Kenley Jansen, 2 stellar closers to finish off games. Full count to Turner. Jansen has a little more experience, but Familia has had as good a first year as a closer as you could possibly imagine. Three and 2 to Turner with Harper on deck.
Barely got a piece of that splitter.
Again, the 3-2. Struck him out. 97-mile-an-hour sinker. 2 out and nobody on.
Looked like a fastball grip, but it was a fastball. Threw it by him. Good sink.
One more obstacle for Familia, and that's Bryce Harper. Well, Harper's not going to win the batting title. He's 4 points behind D. Gordon. But he gets one more at bat, and he strokes one by right for a base hit. He'll take the turn and try for 2. The throw by Conforto. He may get him. He's safe. Harper able to leg out a double. Conforto got it there in time. Murph couldn't get the tag around, and Harper has a 2-out double.
Well, that was a risky play, hustling double by Harper here, right down the line. Conforto again with a very accurate one-hop throw. But as you said, Garrett, just.
And the Mets are going to challenge the call at second. Let's look. No, he's safe. Unless he came off the bag. He was certainly initially safe. Did he pop off the bag for a moment? Let's see. Did he come up?
Oh, Murph's glove left.
Yeah, he was off the bag momentarily, but I'm not sure Murph's glove was on him when he was off the bag. So he's up in the air moment. His hand's still on the bag. I think he's safe, Keith.
Yep, I do too.
The Mets have nothing to lose here, challenging with
Almost
2 out of the 9.
Good way to turn your ankle.
He got the left hand of the bag, I think, before the foot came off.
Or you could turn your ankle that way or break your ankle.
So it's only the second Nationals hit of the day. And Harper able to stretch a sure single into a dicey double.
I don't think they're going to overturn this.
No, I don't think so either. But I'll tell you what, if they did, it would be the perfect end to the National season.
Oh, wouldn't it?
Right? Considering everything that has gone haywire for the Nats this year, that would be a perfectly appropriate way for their season to end on an overturned call. Play Under Review brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters.
Well, there's that guarding the line, Gary. And I don't like leaving the lines exposed with leadoff hitters. I can meet Terry halfway, not with leadoff hitters or in the inning or 2 outs. Now a base hit ties the ball game.
One more look.
He's safe.
I think he's safe. Familia throwing some warm-up pitches, trying to keep loose.
Come on, guys.
And the last review of the regular season might be one of the longest. Cuzzy, who made the call at second on the right. Jerry Davis, the crew chief, with his hand on the headset on the left. He's the crew chief. Meanwhile, in Arizona, the Astros are threatening in the 7th. They have 1st and 3rd and 2 out, down 1 run to the Diamondbacks. And let's see, they confirm the call. So Harper has a double, his 38th double and his 81st extra base hit of the season. So now the tying run is on second with 2 out. And Jason Worth will come up with a chance to tie this game. And the Astros have just tied up the Diamondbacks on a wild pitch in the top of the 7th. Worth is 0 for 3 today. Duda robbed him of a hit his last time up. And Familia gets ahead with a fastball. Coming to Worth. And he hits it in the air to center field. Lagares sees is over. He's there. And the ball game is over. Jeurys Familia ties the club record with his 43rd save. 7 Met pitchers combined on a 2-hit shutout. And on the final day of the regular season, the Mets snap a 5-game losing streak, win their 90th game of the year as they head into the postseason with a 1-0 win over the Washington Nationals.
Well, it's good to get a win and finish on a W, Gary, than on a lengthy losing streak. A team that has struggled offensively continued today. Only got 5 hits, and the hero of the day, Curtis Granderson, right there. 3 for 5. Only a triple away from a cycle, a single, a double, a solo home run. His 26th. That was the difference in the ball game. The Mets head to the playoffs now, get prepared for the Dodgers with their 90th victory.
It's the Mets' first and only 1-0 victory of the season. In fact, the last 1-0 win for the Mets came a year ago June when Zach Wheeler threw a 1-0 shutout in Miami. And they used 7 pitchers today, starting with Jacob deGrom and finishing with Jeurys Familia to fashion a 1-0 win today on Curtis Granderson's 8th inning home run before a crowd of better than 41,000 sending the Mets off. A perfect tune-up for the Mets today. Certainly for their pitchers. deGrom, who will start game 1 on Friday night against the Dodgers in LA. 4 hitless innings today. He struck out 7. The Nats only had 2 hits on the afternoon.
And 200 strikeouts for deGrom. Very nice.
Finishes with 205. First Met pitcher to get to 200 strikeouts since R.A. Dickey 3 years ago. Jeurys Familia, 43 saves, ties Armando Benitez's club record. And the Mets get that 90th victory that had been elusive all week. And they head into the postseason, winning 90 and losing 72. For every Mets win, the Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to the Cass Women's Hospital and the Cass Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northshorelij.com/KIWH. The win brings the total contribution this season to $225,000. And Met players coming back out of the dugout to applaud the Met fans who have come out to support this team, even in the hard times earlier this season, but in greater and greater number as the season has enhanced through the trading deadline, through Wilmer Flores' tears, through the Mets' incredible run through August and early September, and now the players saluting the fans for their support, with more to come.
Well, I can tell you, as a former Met and having played 6.5 seasons with New York, it was a real fun time right here to come out the last game and do what the Mets are doing right now, the current Mets, and recognizing the fans and tipping your hat. I always enjoyed that, and the fans seem to too. So congratulations to the Mets.
Well, the turnaround seasons are always the most fun for the fan base. Keith referenced 1984 a little bit earlier. There was no wild card in those days. The Mets settled for 90 wins and a trip home. This year, after 9 years in the wilderness, the Mets get their 90 wins and head off to the postseason with a division title. And a chance to celebrate with their most avid fans this afternoon at Citi Field. Cincinnati, watching the Mets celebrate with the several thousand fans who made their way there for the clincher, but this is a little bit more of a party now for them to celebrate with the 40,000 plus who made their way here for the final game of the season.
I think it's one thing. You've got to make the full turn around the ballpark. You've got to acknowledge all the fan base. Come around to left field, come down the third base line and home plate, and that's what they're going to do. Everybody gets the old thanks for your support, and a moment for the fans and the players to share the very long 2015 season coming to an end with a National League Eastern Division flag. Very nice.
There are a lot of warm feelings in this ballpark right now, from the fans, from the players, and it's a little different knowing that they'll be back a week from tomorrow. to play games of even greater import. There's the guy whose connection with the fan base was enhanced forever back on July the 29th, when the tears flowed, and it seemed as though everything from that day hence has been almost predestined.
The galvanizing moment, I feel, Gary, for this ball club, and it's brought the team together. That moment.
And then 2 days later, the trade for that guy that seemed to put the Mets over the top.
Without social media, the Twitter world, it would never have happened. It would have been a rumor going into the game that Wilmer was traded. You would not have found out one way or the other till after the game. And it was really a remarkable moment.
It's a very likable team, and it's a team that the fans have really bonded with. And it's only a small taste of what might be down the pike for this team if they're able to successfully negotiate the next several weeks.
Well, this is our 10th year together in the booth, SNY's 10th year, and how appropriate that the team wins a National League flag on the 10th season of SNY. Beautiful.
So the first task is accomplished for this team. They get to their 90th win. David Wright ready to address the crowd.
Thank you guys for coming out. You guys really are the best in the game. Thank you very much. And let's go beat LA.
Short and simple. Have fans sending the Mets off to Los Angeles after the Mets get a victory in their final regular season game of the season. Jeurys Familia putting on the finishing touches for his record-tying 43rd save. Curtis Granderson provided the game's only run with his 26th home run. And the Mets put the brakes on a losing streak and secure their 90th win of the season. Now 5 days away from their first date in the postseason against the Dodgers in Los Angeles on Friday. Mets win the season finale 1-0. We'll come back with more from Flushing in just a moment.